Morning guys, so another update. This is the 350 mile update for the Crf450l. So I'll give you an update real quick and then I'll tell you about some problems I've had and then some changes I've made. So update, still love the bike. Now that it's broken in officially, I'm actually able to give it full throttle in all situations. And I can tell you that I wish it had the power my 450R did on pavement. It's got plenty of power to do anything you want, but it doesn't do the fifth gear wheelies. And I know that's a gearing thing too, but it just doesn't quite have the snap the 450R, my 2011 450R had. I used to ride some trails and pavement in the mountains with that thing, and a little more exciting than this thing on the road. Off-road, more power than I'll ever need. It's got just plenty of power off-road. I've done some hill climbs with it, deep sand, whatever. Plenty of power and plenty of torque. This thing really is a torque monster. It's amazing how just torquey it is and how much you can lug it for being a 12.51 compression ratio, thumper. But do want a little more power on road, so I'm gonna be looking at doing a tuner, de-smog, exhaust pretty soon. Just for on-road riding, I'd like a little more power. Turns out it is limited to 90 miles an hour. It's not a speed limit. Basically, I looked into it. It's a rev limiter, but only in sixth gear is it lower. So in sixth gear, it has a lower rev limiter than the other gears, and in sixth gear, it cuts out right at 90 miles an hour. Which, I mean, 90 is fast enough on a dirt bike, but I'd like to go 100. So hopefully, I can get a computer that gets rid of that. And I did put a little taller rear tire on, so that might help. But done some trail riding, a lot of like high-speed whoop type stuff, a lot of sand type stuff. So I've been messing with the suspension adjustments. Increased my sag by about ½ an inch. Made a huge difference in like straight line stability and all that stuff, because I don't wear as much gear as most people. I'm pretty average weight, but I don't wear that much gear, so I'm a little bit light. And yeah, definitely needed some more race sag. Spring I think is fine. I just needed to take some preload off of it. So did that, mess with the clickers, increase the dampening a little bit front and rear, and this thing eats up whoops like nobody's business. I mean, it is extremely capable in all kinds of terrain. Other changes I've made, the seat, I put the Acerbis X-Grip seat on here. Love it. I read mixed reviews about it, but I figured I'd try it. I got a pretty good deal on it. It's like 200 bucks. This groove right here is the most comfortable thing in the world. I hate having a seat that just constantly busts my balls, and this thing has a nice groove in it called a relief channel, and I thought it was kind of a gimmick, but it's excellent. It's also a sealed seat, so it's never going to get water in it, and it looks pretty cool. I like my stuff to look factory, but that stock seat was just not comfortable enough to cruise on the highway or to really sit down in any kind of a rough terrain, so I had to improve the seat. My two gripes with the seat are it's kind of heavy. It's a little heavier than the stock seat by, I don't know, a pound maybe. I didn't actually weigh it. I should have. I'll do that eventually. And I don't like this little bump right here, because when you put your ass all the way back here for eating up some really long whoops in the sand, you can actually kind of feel this piece of plastic hitting your butt cheeks. Wish it would just left it, the same line through here, but of course you gotta have some branding. But the seat's awesome. Highly recommend the X seat. I also put different tires on it. Stock tires were just not cutting it in the sand. Back tire couldn't hook up, couldn't pull the front wheel off the ground when I wanted to. And the front tire is just probably the worst tracking front tire I've ever ran. It's garbage. If I rode hard pack, I could probably have left those tires on there, but Florida's a lot of sand, so I went with the safe option, the Pirelli MT21 in the front and the Dunlop D606 in the rear. Both have a lot bigger voids, and we clean out better. Also, I hit some mud with those stock tires. The bike just fell over immediately, so this will give me actually some grip and mud and slick stuff. And these tires, most people say they're like a 1090 tire, 10% road, 90% off-road. I think they're more of an 80-20. The lugs are still pretty fat. You can still get on the corner of them. So I picked a tire that I can still corner pretty hard on the road. Yeah, they're going to wear down pretty fast, but whatever. Tires are cheap. These are like 100 bucks a piece. And I just realized I didn't get them balanced when I mounted. I had them mounted. I didn't get them balanced. But yeah, really excited to put some more miles on those things in the sand. I mainly did that for the sand. These tires are a pound heavier each than those tires. So I did add probably 3 pounds to the bike already between the tires and the seat. So hopefully I can make some of that back by deleting all of this bullshit and that freaking catalytic converter. Starting to get a few scratches on the plastics and stuff, but it's a dirt bike, you gotta ride it. I have dumped it a few times. One time the front tire hit some mud and it just fell over because that stock front tire was garbage. and a couple other times in some really, really soft sand, trying to slow down and make a corner. And it's just, you know, super soft sand with a front tire that tracks poorly, and you're in ATV ruts, so you're wandering back and forth the whole time. But absolutely love the bike, and no complaints. The one issue I've had, which is a common issue, is the idling problem. So if you usually have it on the street, come into a corner in like fourth gear, pull in the clutch, go to roll into the corner a little bit, let it out right before you get to the corner, and then the third gear, and it stalls. Some people say it's like an issue with the fuel injector cutting off, and when you let the clutch out, third gear can't pick up quite fast enough to get it running again without fuel, you know, engine braking, so it shuts down. It's a pretty well documented issue. Everyone says it goes away at about 400 miles. I had it happen on probably 7 times in the first 100 miles, and then it's been happening less and less since then, so I'd say that's probably a pretty good diagnosis. I did raise the idle up just a hair. I don't have a tachometer for this thing, but I raised the idle up a little bit, and that seemed to help. But now that it's around 350 miles, I haven't had it happen in probably the last 50 miles. So not too worried about it. I think it's just like a break-in thing, like a tolerancing thing. The engine's real tight, so when it slows down faster than it usually would, basically. But the idling thing is kind of annoying. Not something you expect from a Honda, especially a street legal Honda that's kind of detuned, if you will. But yeah, other than that, freaking love the bike. And I got a bunch more footage I need to post of it. Not that anyone cares about dirt bike videos on the internet, but this thing is freaking excellent. I'm going to take it up into the mountains here in the next few weeks and actually do some like hard packed clay trails and hill climbs and some rocks and stuff, so some different terrain. And I think these tires I got will perform fine in that, better than the freaking IRCs it came with. So just an update for you. Highly recommend this bike though. I haven't ridden any of my other bikes since I've got this, just because, well, number one, it's new, and number two, it does everything all my other bikes do. It's not quite as comfortable as some of them on the highway, but I mean, riding on the highway is pretty boring in Florida anyways.